BeastNet is brought to you by James Safety Services in partnership with OCR Buddy and OCR Strong. Here we discuss all things OCR and fitness related. Welcome to BeastNet.
Woohoo! There we go. Right on. How you doing, brother?
Doing all right. Just, end of the season basically for me. My plan is I'm taking about a week or so off, letting my body just truly heal. So
Cool.
And then starting the first of the month, I'm going to start pushing hard. I've got a workout plan was given to me by Megan, who I do records.
The OCR trainer?
Yeah. So she gave me a workout plan to work on. So I'm going to start working on that starting the first. I've just been, I was trying to get through the year. Now that the year is over, my body's wrecked. I've got more issues than I've admitted to. So, but that's normal. That's normal. So it's 2 years of pushing hard. So, and my body's just like, dude, it's like, you're not a young chicken anymore. You're 45 years old. Well, I will be in a month and a half, but yeah, basically 45. So my body's like, time to take just at least a week or two, just let your body heal a little bit, which I've been kind of doing for about a month, but now it's really just give it a week of literal actual relaxation.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I just hit 47 last week, and it's kind of funny. I was at the dinner with some friends of mine, and I love my friends, don't get me wrong, but they were talking about, we're in our 40s now. We should slow down. We should take a break. We should relax more. And I'm sitting there going, I'm going to the gym after this. I'm going to go hit a PR. I'll peace out. And I got mad at myself, and I got not mad at them, mad at the whole discussion, because I'm like, I'm 47. I'm not 907. I'm okay. Yeah. And then I went to the gym and hit a 900 pound for 3-rep PR on leg press.
Nice.
So I'm like, I don't know what y'all are talking about, but there comes a time where it's like you said, you gotta stop and chill out for a sec, let the body recover. But what I see in America, at least, is that and this is something we combat with Spartan Tough Mudder, and everything that we do is this overabundance of relaxation and taking a break turns into taking 6 months, turns into taking a year, etc. And that compounds, and it's like, no, man, you got to keep moving.
And that's why I put a date. I put a date. I said, okay, I'm going until this day.
Staying straight. Yep.
I know if I don't, it's just going to keep getting pushed farther and farther out. And my problem is I kept pushing myself and just saying, okay, I want to keep hitting these goals. But it hit a point where my body's wrecked, and my body's telling me, it's like when I stopped doing the 5K a day in July, where I'm like, okay, I need this break. So that was the beginning. This month, a lot of people don't know this yet, but because I haven't said it, but the 100-mile-a-month streak ends. It's done. I'm not hitting it this month. And it was just one of those things. I've hit it for over 2 years.
A while, yeah.
It started in May,
hard, man.
May of 2020. It's been over 2 years where I've done 100 miles every single month, and my legs are angry. And it's time to just, I need to. And Megan's been telling me this, and I've had a couple other my really good trainer friends tell me, dude, you need to just relax for a couple days. Take a couple weeks, sit back, relax. The only thing I've really done difficult this entire month, I've still had the 1 mile a day going, because that one I can do.
Wrong with that.
But I've pretty much all I've really done this entire month is the beast. And other than that, it's been the whole month has pretty much been relaxing. But I've got
to actually compliment you on, well, compliment you anyway, because you're pretty Mike, but the not doing the ultra. You told me that you were going to not do the ultra this time and just do the beast. And that was a really good choice.
It was one of those things. I will tell you, I was kind of upset because one of the reasons that one of my decisions was I didn't want the medal. The medal looked like a freaking brake pad. Why do I want a brake pad? But then when I saw,
they changed it on this one, didn't they?
It was an honor series medal. So it was an honor series buckle. I will be honest. I may have one in my possession, but
that's cool.
I didn't do it, but I may have one of those honor series buckles in my possession. So,
well, I was going to second here. I'm gonna prop my phone up. I was gonna go down to the Beast and the sprint weekend, but with everything that's gone on, that was my birthday weekend, and I just didn't feel up to going. So I'm gonna celebrate my birthday for once.
It wasn't the same as last year. This was a new location. It was still in
Yeah, I
Grand,
heard.
but it was a new location, and it was hills. I mean, we were going in and out of dry creek beds,
Wow.
up and down hills. The sandbag carry was probably almost, I would say 300 or 400 yards up and down the side of a freaking hill, where you're like climbing up the hill while you freaking had the sandbag. So I mean, this was not last year's, flat dust bowl.
Flat. Yeah.
This was an actual real beast. So I mean, could I have finished the ultra? Yes, because like all of us, I don't know when to stop. I'm just going to keep pushing forward. But which it's that's one of the things. I mean, that's what kills me. Like with the Ironmans, if it hadn't been for time hacks, I would never DNF'd an Ironman, because I could push. I still had it in me to go for the run, but it was just the speed was what was killing me,
Right.
So we know how to just keep pushing, and that would be the biggest problem with the doing the ultra would be more not can I do the 28 miles or whatever it was this time, because it was a little shorter this time. It was 28 instead. I think last year was a 31 or 32.
32.
Yeah, so it was 28 miles, which a little bit shorter, but would have been a harder race. Could I have done it? Yeah. Could have been within the time hack. I think I would have been close, because of the way my body's feeling. Like I said, I've had a few injuries and stuff I haven't really mentioned. I've been battling since almost May or June, pretty much June, because I think I did it during Sisu. I tore something in my calf that I've been battling for months. And doing everything still along with it. So I've had a problem with my calf. My left knee, when I wrecked an Ironman, I messed up my knee and my shoulder. I'm pretty sure my shoulder this weekend finally popped back into place completely.
Hey, dude.
So there's been a lot of, like I said, a lot of issues that I've been quiet on during during this push. And I mean, it was over 2 years that I've been pushing hard. Right. My body just needed it. And the other thing that I haven't mentioned, which just cracks me up, it'll be fixed next week. I had a bridge put in, and it was they hadn't glued it permanently in. It was just temporary.
Oh no!
Waiting for something to
Did
heal.
You break it?
No, I swallowed it. Literally,
that's one way to do it.
flat out swallowed it like 2 weeks ago. So, and I don't know if it's come back out, but my stomach's been a little wonky ever since. So I've been
probably still sitting there.
Probably, because I mean, it was a full bridge, like three teeth. Because there was a tooth missing in the middle, because I broke one of the teeth, and the only way to fix it, they had to yank it. So they yanked the tooth, and that's what they were waiting for, was where they'd yank the tooth to heal before they permanently glued it down to make sure it was in the right spot once everything healed. So I had an appointment on the 3rd to have it glued back down. So I've been dealing with that wonderful thing. But I talked to my dentist, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, great, I just swallowed $3,000. Awesome. So talk to my dentist. He's like, no, we were going to have to redo some stuff anyway. So we talked to the lab. They're just going to remake it. There might be a minimal.
Oh, well, hey, that's helpful.
A minimal of like $50 charge. And I'm like, sweet. Now I'm just waiting for it. I have that fear though, because I don't know if it's come back out yet. And I'm just waiting. I'm going to have I just imagine 3 teeth coming out. That's not going to be happy.
Just, yeah.
Yeah.
Ow. It's got pain written all over it.
It does. So that's what my nightmare the last like 2 weeks. And it's been like a stress level that I haven't felt in a long time. So, and it's been, there's a few other things going on, in life that get you going. And I know you've, that was one thing we wanted to talk about, was the fact that, life gets us down sometimes. Life gets difficult,
Yeah. It's, as you know, if I start crying, I'll apologize now. But
I completely get it for everything that you're going through.
My dad just passed away last month, and it's been difficult, because I am the only family that he is. Well, I have no more immediate family anymore. And my dad, as much of a pain in the tail as we were to each other, growing up, he was my Superman. He's part of the reason I got involved in OCR in the first place. And to get the call that he had aspirated and was back in the ER from the hospice care was terrifying, because he'd already been in the hospital for aspiration pneumonia. And then when I got the call that he'd passed away, it's like, okay, what do I do? And part of my brain's like, okay, you got to. One of my buddies, the fallible man, Brent Down, God bless him, he's like, let's go out, celebrate your dad, let's go have dinner. I'm like, no, I got to go to the gym. I have to go to the gym. And but why? Because if I don't keep moving, I'm going to stop. And if I stop, I'm never getting going again.
Yeah.
So I went to the gym, and I just busted my chops for a good couple of hours. And the person I really care about, and she showed up and said hi, and that made my day. Yeah, it's been a little tough. And I actually considered. I was talking to Joe Sena about it. And of course, what Joe's idea is, like, just keep racing, just keep going. Like, yeah, hey, buddy. But like, yeah, okay, there, dude. Who seems to have no emotion for anything. But I love Joe Sena. Don't get me wrong, but there are some times that. But he did say something that really got me thinking. Was he quoted some other quote, and he probably misquoted it, but there's nothing in life you can't walk off.
Yeah.
And you just got to keep moving. I considered just canceling the rest of the race season, but it's like, no, I got to go do this. And I remember Tough Mudder. One thing I've been doing this last couple of years is I've been collecting a buddy medal for Dad, and they've allowed me to do that graciously. And my Uncle Dennis is going to take those buddy medals going forward, because it motivates me to complete it. It's like, I'm going to do this. And I remember crossing that finish line at Tough Mudder, Seattle, and I approached the finish line, and I just started falling. And I'm almost ready to collapse at this point. Not because Tough Mudder was real difficult, because it wasn't, but it was just the emotional, because Dad was with me on my first Tough Mudder, and was wanting to follow me at Whistler. But I remember Janelle, Adam's girlfriend, she came out and just gave me a big hug and said, your dad's proud of you. And I just kept going. And then when I was in Portland, which is before that, or after that rather, whenever that was, I remember Bear, I just completed the hurricane heat. Thanks for that hug, by the way, during the hurricane heat.
Oh yeah, you needed it. I could see it.
Well, we're doing the Iron Cross, right? All we're doing is holding 2x4s in each, little 2x4s in each hand. And Adam, the crypto, was like, just be silent. And I just, as soon as we started to stop talking, we were silent, I just lost it. I just started crying because I was thinking of my dad. And so I remember Bear, the MC, I walk up to the start wall, and I'm dirty and muddy and gross. I didn't change my clothes. I had my rucksack still on me with the dry weight in it. I walk up to the volunteer at the start wall and said, I just did the hurricane heat. And I walked past the start wall. He's looking at me like, yeah, go ahead. Thank you. So I walk up to Bear, the MC, and I'm just talking to him a little bit. And I told him what had happened, what I was there for. And he announced it to the entire heat that day. It says, this guy's going to complete this for his dad. He's going to go get this done. He just did the hurricane heat. Let's give it up for Dave, blah, blah, blah. And it was cool. So I went and did the sprint. And I remember coming around that last corner at Portland, right before you see that finish line. Mm-hmm. And I just helped a Marine recruit, little girl who just her whole team left her. So I hung out with her and helped her get the last 3 obstacles done. She took off with her team. And then I see Bear standing there with all the volunteers, and they're cheering me on. And he's like, come on, Dave, come on, man, come on. And I just like, okay. And you know me, I don't run very much. So I just sprint to the end of the finish line. And Bear catches me, and I start crying. And he's like, your dad's proud of you, man. And I asked him for a buddy medal, and he reaches over, big old Bear, grabs a buddy medal from the volunteer, and just to me says, here, you put this in honor of your dad. I'm like, thanks, man. So it was pretty cool. But
that is,
yeah. I just did Dad's funeral this month, a couple of weeks ago, and he never wanted one. He's like, don't have a funeral for me, whatever. And I told him, well, it's not for you, it's for everybody else. I'm quiet about it. But it went pretty well. And then I did something that a little Spartan-esque. You know where the North Cascades Highway is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So we went up that direction and to a place where we could do it legally and spread Dad's ashes, but we're on motorcycles. So I looked at my buddy and said, "Hey, how much gas you got in your tank?" He says, "Full tank. What do you want to do? Let's go right now." So finish the funeral, off the way to North Cascades Highway, a couple motorcycles. We get it to where we were going, freezing our tails off, no gear on. Like, we should put our coats on, and then spread the ashes, and away we went. Or we could do it legally, mind you. But it's still hard sometimes because you find yourself going, I just want to call my dad. I want to hear the man's voice. And I want to tell Dad I did this race. I want to tell Dad I set this PR, but that's gone. And I am grateful to the folks that have stepped in, like my Uncle Dennis. He's like, "You call me anytime, David." And a couple of aunts that have been really gracious, and my church family and the Spartan community. The whole LCR community has been exceptionally gracious. Something I never expected that. And I thank God for all y'all, because honestly, if it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't know what I'm doing. I'm at my dad's house right now. We're preparing it for sale, and I'd just be here crying all the time. So, you guys keep going, and I appreciate it.
You know me, anytime you need anything, you need a phone call, just call me. It's like, I said before, if you want to record an episode, we can record an episode, or you can just call and we can chat. So I'm good.
Well, people need to hear this too. They need to hear that life, sometimes life sucks, but you got to keep going,
It's all in continuing to go. It's like the one thing you mentioned earlier when we were talking about like how I set myself a date, like, okay, I'm taking a break till this day. And then this day, and me and my wife, even we had a conversation because I just got back from Texas doing the beast in Texas, that we've been slacking on our eating and everything else. We haven't been eating the way we should. Starting November 1st, we're going back on the diet. We're going to start watching what we eat again. And I'm going to start, going through the plan that Megan gave me to do all the workouts so that I can become strong all the way over. Because that's one thing I noticed. I got back into the bad habit in the last few months of just doing the running and not doing any lifting. So when I went to go do
lift, man.
Yeah, a couple of the obstacles, like even pushing myself over a wall, I could feel the strain in my arms that shouldn't be there. So I got to get back to the lifting, get back to the core strength, get back to everything. It's been, I think, 2 years of pushing. It was probably June when I really started feeling everything starting to kind of backslide. But it was because of injuries. Like I said, I had major issues doing Sisu. Going into Sisu, I was already having issues, but then by the end of Sisu, my left calf has been a problem ever since. Probably a little before Sisu and during Sisu, I've had a problem with my left calf. I really noticed it during, pushing through Seattle and then doing the very next weekend, the Hawaii, trifecta weekends. Somehow I completely, and I don't know how I keep missing you at races. I missed you. Portland, I know, because Portland, I finished Portland, and then I saw you there because I gave you the big hug while you were doing but then afterwards I was gone. Like, I didn't see anybody but like you and Dawn, because after we finished the race, I had to get back up here to drop my bike off for the Ironman. Right. And then I did Tough Mudder, and somehow we did two and a half laps and never ran into you. So the third lap,
I was there.
This is what me and Brian did. We did because we did the Infinity. We did the 15K, and then we did the 5, which is what you had to do to get the medal. You just had to at least do those 2. And then Brian at the very end of the 5 rolled his ankle. And then we're like, well, we want to go for another one, but we started going out there, and Brian's like, my ankle, I don't know if I can, that long out there into the trails and everything. And we're like, well, we just have the Infinity Pass. We have the purple jerseys. Let's just go play on the obstacles. So we quit following the trail, and we just kept going from obstacle to obstacle. We were running back and forth between obstacles. We did the freaking, we did a couple of them like 5 or 6 times. We were just climbing up things, having a blast. Because with the purple jerseys, everyone let you walk in front. We're like,
just like an ultra. Exactly.
Yeah. We're just gonna go play.
I did. So I have a hard time getting over walls. Like, I can't get over a wall by myself yet. So what I did was, when I get to, I want to get up Mudderhorn badly. And Mudderhorn used to have, I have not gotten a Mudderhorn yet. But they used to have slats that you could climb up the slats on the wall and then get to the cargo net. Now it's like one slat and that's it. So I walk into Mutterhorn, and lo and behold, the guy comes up to me and like, "Hey, your last name is?" "Yeah." "Hey, you're from Wenatchee?" "Yeah." "Hey, I'm the EMT that transported your dad to the hospital." I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" But like, "You're here. You're great." So anyway, I walk up to Mutterhorn and I'm tired. I'm just like, I want to get this done. And there's this entire team trying to get their people up the wall. And I look at him like, "I know I can't get up this, but by God, I'm gonna get you all up this. Let's go." And I put my leg against the wall and brace myself, and I put like 10 people over the wall. It's like, you know what? Have a nice day, y'all. I'm out. Peace. I walked around and called it good.
Yeah.
But next year, I'm getting up Mutterhorn.
Now Mutterhorn's the crazy one with the like way up there, right?
It's like 35 feet tall or some junk. It makes A-frame look like a Sunday school picnic.
Yeah, I hate that one. We went over
I
it
want that
once,
one.
and then the second time we went around, I'm like, yeah, I ain't doing this again.
Was that fun, huh?
It's once you get to the top, and the part for me that drives me nuts, and I know it's there for safety, and I'm a safety guy, so I get it, is the part that's draping over you and touching you the whole time. I feel like that's, and it just feels like it's gonna knock me off balance, and it's like, I'm just like, and I know if I go off balance, this is gonna end bad. So yeah. So I'm just like, yeah, no, that one was good. The one I was surprised about is they didn't have Everest.
Yeah, the Everest, I think. Yeah, they didn't have Everest. That was disappointing.
I was kind of disappointed, but at the same time, I'm okay because that's where I broke my rib last year.
Right, exactly.
On.
Last year, I took a 15-year-old kid in that in part of my youth group, and it was just him and I. And of course, I can't get up Everest, but I walk up the other side and I start pulling people over because I may not be able to get the speed to get up Everest, but by God, I will pull your tail up there. And I'm telling this kid, I'm like, "Okay, I've taught you how to do this. You know how to do this. Make this happen." Okay, he doesn't go for just the standard Everest where it's the curved, the top of the walls curved and just run up that. No. He goes for the Legionnaire version where it had the whole pull-up thing.
Yeah.
This little brat child, he goes, and he grabs the pull-up bar and just pulls himself up. And I'm like, I'm sitting down going, "What the heck just happened? You got to do it again, dude. I got to record this crap." So he comes back down. He goes, "You want me to do it again?" I'm like, "Yeah, do it again." So he does it again, and I film him doing it again, so I can get to it. I said to his parents, I'm just like, "Dude, that was epic. I hope to do that someday before I'm dead." Holy crap! And it was his very first Tough Mudder, very first OCR ever. I'm like, dude.
I love Tough Mudder. I've been looking at all that stuff. I'm looking forward to next year. And Spartan. My biggest thing is if everything goes the way that's planned, and we do the move like we're talking about in January, February, I don't know what my race season is going to look like next year.
Well, your race season is probably going to be more full because you got more races down that way.
I think so.
Right?
I think it's going to be, but that first year, I think it's one of those, like, I don't know if I'm going to be doing as much because trying to get used to where I'm at and get used to all that stuff. But I mean, there are, because I've looked at, I think there's 4 Ironmans in Texas. One of them is actually the town we want to move to. It starts in the town we want to move to.
Conroe?
Yeah, it actually starts in the Woodlands. So I think it's right next to it, which is right next to Conroe. And that's where the Ironman, but it's a full Iron. So 140.4, oh, it's just going to kill me. Or 140.6. Yeah.
Lord, man.
Yeah. But it's, so it's there's a lot more. I mean, you got Savage Race, you got more Spartans. I think they're doing Houston next year instead of San Antonio.
Cool.
Dallas next year is a full trifecta weekend.
Yeah, I'm still not going to be at Dallas, I think, next year because it is my birthday weekend. So I think I might.
I think I am, because my cousin, who's a total pain, and I wish I'd have known this before we went down. She sends me a message like Monday after the races and says, "Hey, is this the race you were doing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was down there for the Spartan." She's like, "Yeah, my best friend's husband is the manager of the ranch." I'm like, why didn't you tell me that?
Okay, maybe I will have to come down then.
I could have been partying at the ranch rather than, before the race, after the race.
I can celebrate my birthday the following weekend. I'm fine with it.
So, but I mean, it's a beautiful course. I mean, it was so much better than last year. I mean, it was harder, but I mean, it was better. My legs got scratched up a little more in the year before, but I didn't bring anything to protect my legs because I didn't need them. I just needed my.
Texas, we don't expect that.
Yeah. I just needed my knee braces for, the crawls. But other than that, I didn't think anything of it. But there was a lot more, stuff to catch your legs and stuff like that. It was it was fun. I mean, it was a Spartan. So I'm enjoying, I am kind of interested to see with the changes for next year that a lot of people are having issues about. But the more I look at them, it's age group and elite. You just don't have to do the burpees, you do penalty loops. But for open,
And that makes sense.
at first I didn't like it, but the more and more I think about it, the more I'm like, it does make sense, because it's like the argument I've had of mandatory obstacle completion, which I think is what it still should go to eventually. But for the elite age groups.
Somebody wrote, I think it was on the Beast OCR Facebook, that somebody, I think it was Adam, copied part of the rule book and said these are now mandatory obstacles for. Yeah. And some people, oh, that's for DECA. Oh, that's for DECA. Like, no, DECA is a whole different rule book. Yeah. These like the air bike, for example. Air bikes at stadium races or city races. Yep. Those aren't at regular Spartan races. So, at DECA, you don't get to fail. You get to do it until you don't do it, and then you're disqualified at that point. But yeah, mandatory obstacle completion makes a whole lot more sense to me. Yeah, knowing as I served as a referee in Montana, and talk about and my buddy Brent, the Fallible Man, he served as referee when I was down in Portland. Talk about a pain in the butt to watch video footage and pay attention to people doing burpees. And when I was out in Montana, my camera died. So I'm just like, hey guys, you got a red headband? Go do your burpees. Count them out so I can hear you. And I had 3 girls that showed up, all wearing red headbands. And I think they got their waves confused because they should have been doing open, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They did 1 burpee each, waited for me to turn my back, and they were gone. Yep. And it's like, okay. So if you enforce that penalty loop, you can standardize.
Yeah. And that's it. It's the standardized. And I get it. I mean, it was one of those things that, at first, but I mean, for open heat, we can still do whatever we want, like we've always done. Yeah. Exactly. And for me, I'll be honest, when I'm doing open heat, I'm much more likely to skip burpees than I am a penalty loop.
Oh yeah. I'll do penalty loops all day long.
Yeah. I did every penalty loop in Dallas. I did every penalty. I mean, not all of them. I actually did some of the obstacles without failing, but every one that I failed, I did the penalty loop. I may have skipped a couple of burpees, but
we do that. But honestly, it's honestly you're racing against yourself with the open weight, right?
Yes.
So if you don't do your burpees, you do 15 burpees, you do 10 burpees, you do 15 air squats, whatever. Punish yourself a little bit and then go off and do more, and then do better next time. Yeah. It's not that big a deal.
It's one of the big arguments. Like I just have got a gift now that's just of a baby rolling his eyes every time I see in the West Coast Spartans or any of those where someone starts
didn't do your burpees.
Someone complaining, I saw someone do this. And who cares? Unless it's age group or elite, I don't care how you run your race. Exactly. Do it yourself. And they're like, oh, well, there's trail race for those people. No, I'm an ambassador on the Spartan team, Spartan ambassador. My job is to try and get people out there doing these races. If I'm going to tell you have to do everything, I would have, when I was 310 pounds, I wouldn't have done these. No. Because at 310 pounds, there was a couple races. Like when I did my first trifecta weekend, honestly, and I've admitted it before, I walked past almost every obstacle because I was delirious by that point. And my feet were bleeding. And like when I got to the dunk wall, I'm like, I'm not getting in that water. I have open wounds. Screw that. And if by that person's definition, I didn't finish, I didn't do it. So, I mean, it's one of those, I like the idea of, I feel I'm mixed. I didn't like the idea of penalty loops just because when it first saw it, I'm like, what the hell is this? This isn't Spartan. Spartan is burpees. Burpees are Spartan. Spartan is burpees. That's it. But
there's that.
Yeah, the more I've thought about it, I'm like, I'm okay with it because it's like I've had the argument for years, which I say Spartan is burpees, but I've gotten in arguments with multiple people about the manual, the mandatory obstacle completion that I think it should be. Well, that's not burpees. So how can I get mad that they got rid of burpees when I've for years said that they need to?
Well, and I hear all these people, and I Nancy Culp, director of DECA, he said it best. He's like, this allows us for standardization. This allows us to have the same penalty for everybody that nobody can fudge on, because you can't really fudge on a penalty loop.
No.
So deal with it, And if you want to, and like I said, Instagram Live or something, if you're an elite, or you're an age group, and you want to bust out your burpees, and you want to take the time plus do your penalty loop, knock yourself out. Do your burpees. Stop bragging about it. You're the ones trying to earn money for this. I'm out there trying to better myself. Knock yourself out. But people they're gonna find something to gripe about, and next year we won't be having this problem. There'll be something new to gripe about, and whatever.
There is. I mean, it's always something new. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not too, it was just funny. I like I said, I'm one of the ambassadors. There's been a few of the ambassador league that I've lost it, and and I get it. It's something different. It's a change. We have to talk to when we're trying to sell this to people and get them to sign up. All of a sudden it's like, but I'll be honest, I've had a few people say that they've had people back out. Like, I was going to do a season pass, but that they were going to do a season pass, but now they're not going to because the burpees are gone. But I'll be honest, I could probably sell better to people without the burpees, because we hate burpees.
Well, and I'm an ambassador as well.
Yeah.
So I in my gym, I've got people saying, "Oh, I can never do this Spartan because I'll die because of this, that, other thing." Like, look, folks, you think I'm out there running? I'm not doing the best I can, and I'm faster than I have been. I'm in the best shape of my life so far. And I'm not out there busting out 900 burpees or whatever. I'll do what I can and then move on. And you go out there, you do the best you can. And that's how I sell to people. But, it's
like when they started with the trail. Everyone was all like, well, this isn't Spartan. No, it's a way to get other people into it. People that are afraid of the obstacles. They come out there, they do the trail, they see it, and they're like, oh, I can do this.
Well, it's the same thing with like stadium race, where you got people, as we call them here, city slickers, or, as we used to call them when I was a kid over your area, the 206ers or coasties. That's always a fun one.
I've never had a 206 number. It's 425.
Yeah, I know. Well, when I was a little kid, it used to be 206 across the entire Westminster.
The whole
206.
206, yeah.
So they come over here to the Wenatchee area, like, oh, stupid coasties. Like, they live in Seattle. They're not near the coast. Anyway, but you get people that are like, say, downtown Seattle, for example. And I want to see Spartan do a stadium race in whatever those two stadiums are called now with the Mariners and the Seahawks.
I want them to do a beast stadium race, because you could do it between the two stadiums.
I've tried to actually sell that to Joe.
You could close Royal Brome and run across between the two stadiums.
Well, to be honest, you can run a full trifecta weekend, stadium trifecta, in any stadium in the world.
True.
As long as you use more rows and more of the stadium, lot, like AT&T Stadium down there in Dallas. I mean, oh my word, that place is gargantuan. And I'm looking around my first stadium down there, and I'm like, we can run a beast here. Holy crap!
I want to do that one wearing a Seahawks jersey.
I made that joke. I don't advise it.
They're not doing it anymore. AT&T is on the schedule. It's Baylor now.
Well, I didn't want to bother them. I can't do AT&T. But I still wouldn't advise doing that, because I made that joke a few times while I was there, and the looks I got were like, "We'd beat you up, son." Like, okay, cowboy.
I already told everyone, but if that was one thing, because we were just in Houston, and I'm like, if the Mariners had won, I would have been walking around Houston with a freaking Mariners jersey on. But the fact that they lost, I didn't want to hear a brag about it. So I'm like, forget it.
Well, yeah, there's that. But I was telling the preacher I work with the church that I was going to go down to AT&T Stadium the last time I did and wear my Seahawks jersey. And he's like, "Man, I wouldn't advise that. You're going to get your butt kicked." And then I made the joke, and then they threatened me, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But the funniest part about the stadium races is you get people that they've never been exposed to Spartan or OCR or anything. And they're like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I can walk up and down the stairs like I do in the city. And then you start explaining to them, like, hey, at a regular Spartan event, we have barbed wire and we have fire and we have mud. And oh, really? I'm like, yeah, if I couldn't do that, the stuff you just did is the stuff we have at Spartan, only it's maybe a little pointier and wetter and muddier.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I guess I can do that. Okay, get off your butt and let's go.
So I think it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a lot of argument and a lot of issues right off the bat.
Oh, yeah.
But I think by the end of it, I mean, by the time races start next year, we're all going to forget about it. When they first introduced the penalty loops, there was the thing of like, what the hell is this? And I think it was one of those things like Spartan where they just kind of eased them in. So now that we've all seen them, we see how they work. We're like, okay, I think this will be okay. You know,
It's a great way to do it. Now, if they start adding burpees to Tough Mudder, I quit life. I'm done. Like, I'm out. Like, see you guys. Going home.
Tough Mudder has
I quit.
electric shock. That's bad enough.
Yeah,
So.
I can't. I actually am not allowed to do that one because I've had 2 seizures due to head injuries.
No.
So they tell me, oh, anything electrical shock. And then I saw like I said, the preacher I work with. We took the youth group in Tough Mudder, Seattle, a couple of years ago, and so this is when they had electroshock therapy wasn't the final obstacle, and there's like a couple obstacles before the final, and his wife goes through it. A couple of the kids go through it, the older kids. The younger kids, we didn't allow them to go because their parents said, And then I'm like, I'm not touching that. So the preacher, he goes through it, and him and his wife are in pretty good shape. And but he stops in the middle. He like just stops, and he's standing in between a set of wires. Like, dude, you have to keep moving, dude. And I'm yelling at him, and his wife's yelling at him. The kids are yelling at him. So he finally powers through the rest of it. As he exits the very last set of wires, you actually see the spark hit him in the back of the head and just drops him. And the next thing you know, he's got like the whole Fu Manchu thing, kind of like what you got. And he picks his face up out of the mud, and it looks like a scene from Braveheart because it's just this covered in mud, and he's eyeball popping out, and I'm like, freedom! It was awesome, and he's like, he looks at me like, what happened? Like, you got shocked in the head, bro.
Well, see, I know the first time I did it was because that's one reason I didn't do Tough Mudder forever, which we're talking about. I'm actually wearing the beanie because it's cold as hell in the studio because my kid apparently likes to be freezing. But the first time I never want to do it because I don't like electric shock. And finally I did it. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I run through it. I'm like, I know if I wait, I'm not going to do it. And I run through it. And my one friend, Nick, was with me. And Nick, I didn't know, doesn't like electric shock either. So he's sitting there and he's done Tough Mudder multiple times and he just doesn't want to go. And it's like, come on. So I walked back, and Don has video of this. I walked back and started talking to Nick. I'm standing in the middle of the wires, talking to Nick.
No.
Like, come on, Nick, come on, you can do this. And in the video, it's so funny because you could see my right arm every once in a while. It's just like thunk, thunk, and just keeps twitching. And everyone afterwards, like, why does your arm keep twitching? And I'm like, because there was a wire laying across my arm, but I didn't want to react because I was afraid I'd hit one of the other ones or that I would like make Nick freak out. So I'm sitting there, and, like the whole video, you could see my right arm twitching, and it was like every couple of seconds, my arm was getting hit, and I just stood there like, yeah. And after that, I'm like, I'm okay with it. But then this year, when there was the one where you slid,
into
the wires, of course, and I'm a safety guy. I know how electricity works, and I should know better. But I'm like, I'm gonna get through quicker. I'm gonna grab and pull myself up with the frame.
Yeah.
So
How'd that work out?
Oh yeah, I couldn't feel my arm for like 15 minutes because I grabbed that metal frame and it was just like, oh Jesus. Yeah.
I just want to go through electroshock therapy with like 20 people. It's just like get a group together, and that way you're sharing the load across all of you. But with my luck, every wire we hit would be active, and it'd just be like that much more amplified to everybody. So that would suck.
Yeah, it's definitely fun. I mean, I love them. I love the events. And I think that's one of the things, like we were talking about, that kind of keeps us going. For me, for years, even when I was big, I kept doing the events and I kept going to them. And it was the group, it's the people. Do I still talk to everybody I've met? No, but I still have so many friends. Like, even being in Dallas, I kept running into people and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen you in years. In one of them, Nicole Wesselman, which I'm so mad at myself. I literally talked to her and her husband in my brain because I was like so out of it, never recognized who it was, even made a completely inappropriate comment. And then, we left and all of a sudden she posts a picture and I'm like, I was just talking. Like, I was just talking to you. Why didn't you, but it was just like, my brain was, so it's, we have so much fun with this stuff and that's what keeps us going. And I think that's the hardest part when you have, and I think that was for me. I wanted to push through the season, get it done, even though I knew my body was wrecked and done. But it's what we do. It's how we see our people. I mean, for me, I know you said, you've you're down to, no more like close family. And I'm like, yeah, you do. You got us.
I appreciate
You got
that.
us.
I appreciate a lot.
You always have
Right.
us. Because it's one of those things, I think a lot of people don't realize this. I spent most of my life, I've always been the outcast of my family. And some people know that, some don't. I'm the youngest. I'm the most opinionated. I'm the most argumentative. Ask anybody in like the Spartan ambassadors group right now. I am the most argumentative. But in my family, I've always been that one. I have my own way of thinking, and my family is very close knit, except me.
Right.
I'm the one that doesn't fit the mold and stepped out. Like, I haven't talked to my family in like 6 months, and for me that's normal and fine. But when it comes to my race family, that's completely different. Because they're my race family. They're the ones that keep me going. They're the ones that keep me motivated. They're the ones that keep me, it's like Joe Sena said the other day on the thing, it's not motivation, it's discipline.
Yeah.
Motivation gets you going. Discipline gets you to the finish line.
And that's one thing that, and I've been emailing back and forth with Joe for, going on 3 years now, since the start of the pandemic. And usually responses are very short, very, to the point, because he is the CEO of a company,
Yeah.
Go figure. But I really got to give him his props, because he's taken the time to say, dude, hey, sorry about your dad. That sucks. Anything I can do, let me know. And
you can give me one of those unbreakable passes.
Well, we've talked. He said send me an email at joe@spartan.com about the unbreakable pass. I would give an arm and a leg for an unbreakable pass. He's like, he emails somebody else. Are we accepting arm and legs as payment? I'm like, you jerk. And the unbreakable pass is great if you can travel, if you can do that, if you can take that kind of time off work. But the guy right now that's a big controversy about hitting his 100th trifecta or something like that. Okay, that's great. I don't know how the heck you do that, because that's a lot of races. That's what, 240 races, something like that. So, okay, if I were Joe DeSena, I'd let his butt in too. But it's about the journey. It's about bettering yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you can better yourself to do one trifecta or 100, go do it.
Yeah.
These friends I was out with, they were one was kind of my adopted sister. I called her sis for years. And sis told me, she's like, well, some of us outgrow playing in the mud. I'm like, no, no, I don't. So she's talking about, like, when I sold Dad's house here, get Dad's, my dad unfortunately didn't have life insurance. I got to sell his house to pay his outstanding debt and all that. I said, I'm going to save a couple $1,000s and I'm going to go to Hawaii, because I've never been. And he always wanted to go. So I'm going to go see Hawaii. And she's like, well, so when are you going to go? Oh, I'm thinking August of next year. Well, that's the hottest time, but it's also the Spartan Trifecta weekend.
It is.
And she's like, and her and her husband and then my other friend, like, well, don't you just want to go lay on a beach? I'm like, no, I want to go attempt the trifecta in Hawaii. Yeah. Y'all can have my ties all day long. I'm going to go run a race. So,
that's what a lot of people know. Like, when me and my wife travel, we have a deal. If I go to a race, she gets a vacation. So that's why, if you notice, everywhere we go, Dallas, San Antonio, Hawaii, it's all the races we go to is places that are warm and she can vacation. So the whole way, like, what's funny is a lot of people, like, Hawaii, the first year we went, my wife's like, do you want to go to Hawaii? It was our 15-year wedding anniversary. And I'm like, not really. Because Hawaii isn't I'm like, whatever. We went there on our honeymoon 15 years ago. Why do we want to go? I'm just like, whatever. And then she's like, well, the Spartan is the Spartan race weekend is the same weekend as, our honeymoon or our anniversary. And I'm like,
hell yeah.
Okay, we can do that. So yeah, the whole way she got me to go was because there was a Spartan. So
I love it.
Hey,
it's what we do, yo. It's how we roll.
Thanks for listening to the BeastNet podcast. If you haven't done it yet, find us on Facebook, like and share the podcast. Give us a review on iTunes or Spotify. All these things will help to expand the show in the future. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think and what you'd like to hear.